Right. I'm going to do another one on the board. I'm going to do it on that dark one. You know, in the last video, I talked about this colour. So that was, this is quite thick. It was a waste. I should draw it on the back as well. But that was the grey one. It's like it's a charcoal grey. That worked quite well, and it worked quite well on there. So, but this one, I think I'm going to do. Let's look at the colours of these. So I've got red, orange, and the brown. But this, it's almost like this should be a lighter one. Hang on a minute. Let me just sharpen this. So again, this is, you know what happens when you just look at one thing and on YouTube or on Facebook and on Instagram, and the stupid algorithm thinks that you like that thing, and oh look, you're the target audience for this advert, and you get inundated with oh, that's no good. Look, that's exactly the same color. Inundated with the things that are, see, that's not good. See, the orange doesn't work on this one. On the lighter one, it was okay. The red one's not going to do much good either. Look, I could draw it in red, but obviously the grey is going to work, as is the oh, I've got a blue. I was drawing in blue. There you go. What does that look? Look at that. I'm drawing blue. It's not going to be. It's going to be weird. Isn't it? Weird, but yeah. So it pops up and it says it shows me this ad of somebody talking about skill development, and and some kind of pseudo. It's the same guy before my way, and some pseudo psychological kind of nonsense that she was coming out with. It's again, she wasn't wearing a white coat, so I don't believe her. Anyway, it was. You can't hardly see that, can you? It's not very much good, is it? And because what I like about, because you can't just see the lines. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to have to do it in. I'll have to do it in with dark grey. And so it was skill development. That's what she was talking about, skill development, and skill is important. There's no doubt. Skill is important, but it's important that you develop skills in the right way. The repetition thing, repeat, and then your skills will develop. Yeah, but just make sure that you're developing the right skills. It's a bit like driving a stick shift as opposed to automatic. Make sure that you develop the right skills. Otherwise, you're going to end up not being able to drive a stick shift because you learned to drive an automatic. You know what I mean? But that's the problem. And where you've got to start. First of all, you've got to start why you're doing it, and you've also got to become aware of the nature, the possibilities of what you do, or what you're about to embark on, as opposed to being, because inevitably, if it's a skill development thing, and it's like those comments you made, and it was like the wrong kind of comment about liking what you do, and because you don't know what you like, and if that like isn't being established before you start doing what you do, then you're going to have the wrong assessment of your efforts because it's misaligned in some way by someone else's definition of like or quality or good or whatever. And so consequently, it's important to start from a point of view of exactly what it is that I'm about to embark on, and look at how many other people have done this and how they've done it. And as I said earlier, you've got to sort of overwhelm your creative engine, your creative assessment and aesthetic assumptions and things. You've got to overwhelm that. So you look at anything and like it. You know what I mean? You need to be in a position where it's just simply not a comparison. It's definitely this is my voice, and I'm happy with my voice. You know, it's like trying to sing like Freddie Mercury when you actually you sing like Pavarotti. You know what I mean? It's that. But you've got to find that. You've got to find. Well, that worked. So this YouTube, as you saw, I just decided it wasn't going to work anymore, and then I just said, "Hang on a minute, can you just reconnect?" And it has. So which it doesn't normally do that. It normally just disconnects and decides it's not going to continue and show what I'm doing. But yeah, so this time I've got it to reconnect. This is, and I think what it is that the I want to say a relaxed approach because of the again it says on the bottom the excellent connection. It says what's it do it again? I think one of the factors in this in doing this is this, you know, the relaxed kind of mark making. I think is that the size of the pencil. I've said this before about things that are too long. I'm you know, a normal pencil size for me. I've got this terrible habit. I mean, I've got a groove on it from years ago, and even now, you know, after 30 years, I've got the groove there where the pencil used to sit. So I naturally want to do that with it. You know, I want to do that with it. But when it's too small, you end up holding it like you know, you're fighting with it. It's a clutch. It's a, you know, it's the cradle thing. And I think that it inevitably makes the mark making a lot more relaxed. The other part to it as well is that this card is abrasive. I can understand why, you know, the pastel mat stuff. I think it's sandpaper-ish, you know, in its surface. So I can understand why they would want to use that you know, surface like that with these pastels, because they respond really well to the abrasive surface. As I say, the main thing is this for me is this, you know, all the things that are wrong with it but are right with it. You know, and this happened on the previous one as well. You can see, you know, the mouth. Look how that's fabulous. That mouth, the eye, the same thing. You know, and in a way, it is definitely the emotional connection thing for me. It is the. I'm trying to capture the feeling of this face, the feeling of this human that's in front of me. I'm trying to capture that. This is why I'm giving her a name and thinking of her as the girl in the charity shop. I think I don't know what they're called in the States. They're called thrift, I think. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. That's why that's why it's kind of working. Yeah, but the skill thing. I 100% think it is about skill, but it's the skills that you develop in line with your intention that matter, not the skills that someone else tells you to keep repeating until you get good. Those kind of skills, you just get good at doing the things just the way that anybody else does. But the whole point of this is, as I said earlier, is you being an individual. So whatever skills someone else tells you to develop, that's their experience. It's not. I mean, I could tell you how to sort of keep doing this over and over again, and then one day you'll be dead good at doing it like me. But that's not the right way to do it, is it? All I can say to you, if I want to teach anybody, is to tell people how to think about what they do, how they should think about what they do, and that then in turn impacts on the way they do what they do. It's just obvious, isn't it? Really, again, it's one of those common sense things that I think is common sense, but it really is. But yeah, I'm a big fan. When Robert Enright said that, you know, he referred to, he went back to, I think it was Student Art League. I don't know. It was some college somewhere. He left and he went back, and he said that there were people there who were still doing the same thing that they were doing when he left, and he coined, you know, he used the term that there are many artists that, or students that failed to, I think it's failed to learn how to be artists because of their pursuit of the copying style or something. So basically they were learning to copy, but they weren't learning to be artists. And he referred to them as brush jugglers, I think. So, but when he said about every, you know, it's as if every time you do what you do, it's as if you've got no skills. And this woman this morning was talking about layered skills. You know, you build up your observation skills, you build up your perspective and your shading and all this, and these get layered up on top of each other. And I think that's exactly what happens. It's been right, that. But the way that these, first of all, thinking as layers is a problem, because it becomes about, oh, my perspective's not good, so I'm going to work on perspective. I'm going to, my proportion not going to work. So you'll go off and find a way to do that, and all of a sudden it's about the learning, you know, slavishly learning skills again, copying and repetition and stuff. What you want really is to be in a position where it's like Robin Rice says, it's inevitable. That's really what you want. So if you're, you know, it's like getting fit when you play football with your mates. You don't know you're getting fit because you're with your mates and you're doing what you love, but it's inevitable that you're going to get fit. And that's really what you want. So the consideration of, oh, perspective's not right or whatever is a problem. It's a problem because it shouldn't be in your head, that sort of thing. What drives you is to capture, regardless of whether or not the perspective's right, regardless of whether the proportions are right. What drives you is to capture this thing. And if it's within your definition, not that you should ever have one, but of what this is, or whether or not your intention requires you to be more accurate in your perspective or proportions, that it will naturally happen, and you'll learn. You don't want to learn tricks in order to understand how proportions work. You don't want to do that, because those tricks have a nasty habit of becoming the reason why you do what you do. So you really don't want to be a trick-based magician. You want to be creating magic without knowing what you're doing. You know, I mean, I'd much rather be in a position of not knowing than being in a position, because that's the fun bit. You know, it's not. If I knew what, this is the thing about knowing what you're drawing thing. If I knew what everything was and why it's that shape and why light hits it the way it does and all the rest of it, then I'd end up just drawing that. And I don't want to do that, because it'll just be a production. So I don't want to get into that position of, oh, I know all about eyes, I know all about noses, and that's where the light hits it and everything else. Therefore, I'm going to draw exactly what I know. And it's going to inform what I see. That's the problem. If what you know informs what you see, that's the thing. That's when you can never get into the state where it's about feeling, because the feelings have nothing to do with what you know. They can be part of it, I suppose, but it really is all about what you know first of all, and if you need to know, what you feel, but if you need to know, then you'll find a way. It will manifest itself. But I like the someone draws something and it's not quite right, whether it's a face or it's a piece of furniture, or whether it's an object, still life thing. I quite like the not quite rightness of it all. But the thing about the wrongness side of things is that this idea that the wrong leads to the right. I think sometimes the wrongness is the right thing, and that's the strangest thing. I think if you look at the sergeants, charcoals, and look at the necks being too thin and the eyes being a bit wonky and all that sort of thing, but I think that is why they're great drawings. And I think that the problem is that we as soon as you start to change it for whatever reason, because if you're genuinely connected with the subject, and that's your response, it should not be changed, because that's what your response is. That's what you feel, and how you see what you feel. So it shouldn't really be changed. It should be left regardless. No matter what anybody says. Oh, it's not right. It's this, that, and the other. It should be this. It should be changed in this way. No matter what they say, they're not you. And it's not right that people would say it's wrong because of this. I know I get that thing about one eye's bigger than the other, but I've seen great portraits where that is exactly the case, where one eye is bigger than the other, providing that's genuinely that someone's response and not a contrivance, because some of them will make these odd portraits, odd looking characters, and call it their style, and it's almost like a caricature, But if that's genuinely your response, then that's what it is. It has to stay, whether it's right or wrong. It's only the right or wrong assessment thing only applies if you're trying to make a certain thing in a certain way. It can never be wrong if there was no definition of what you're trying to do in the first place. So it can never be wrong. But I'm drawing a face, or I'm drawing a car, or I'm drawing a bunch of flowers. There's room to be wrong in all of that, and a decision to fail. That's an opportunity to fail. But if it's not like that, if it's not about it's got to be like this, it's got to be like that, and you're allowed to just express yourself, then different thing altogether. Wrongness plays far more important role in that, because and the understanding of importance of wrongness, because it's probably going to contain much more of a pure you, than a contrived you, which is the one that tries to draw like everybody else. But the fluidity of things. I'm talking about the way that this board is responding, and the others have responded, and the way that it's allowing me to be more fluid and more bold and more expressive. I think it's one of the things that's really important, that when I said about the mediums. If you're talking about skill, the skill's always going to be dependent on the medium, because you learn to use a pencil, you learn to use the paint. What you need to be able to do is to adapt to whatever medium at that moment in time. So the primary skills you're going to need, particularly with portraits, is going to be good observation and emotional connection, and that's about it. You don't really need an awful lot more. The observation, the drawing is observation. The understanding of tones and all the rest of it, that's all observation. Seeing colours, it's all observation. It's not a premeditated thing. I've mixed up all my flesh tones and I'm ready to start painting. That's illustration. If that's what your thing is, that's what your thing is. But in the moment, kind of responsive stuff is where painting lives. Even though real painters do spend time mixing up the colours and things, or professional painters, really. But that's because the illustration is the foundation of what they do. They illustrate someone's face, or whatever, their body or whatever. But I've always thought that, you know, some of those really clever life drawing, you know, full figures things, I think that, I mean, illustration comes from that, I suppose. You could argue that, but I think they are illustrations. I don't think they're grounded in artistic response. So, but the skill thing is it's a weird one. I mean, people will say that you need skills before you can do it, and I'd say the opposite, because you don't know what you need until you start doing it. You know what I mean? But people will say, and the majority of people that you'll come across on here or on Facebook or whatever will be skill. You know, promoting skill as an art is skill. You know, I mean, drawing is a skill. But for me, that makes it too much of a you know, superficial activity. It can't be, you know, it's like it can't be any more than that. It can't be any more than a skill. It's almost like demeaning it, and you know, the outcomes of these skill-based approaches tend to be shallow and meaningless. But anyway, as I say, it's probably me. I mean, as you probably figured out by now, I've got some crazy ideas, and not your typical approach to doing this. So, as I say, it's probably me. I probably spend too much time on my own thinking about stuff and scribbling. But I do like this briefness thing. I do like the what's the easiest way, simplest way to get to where I need to get to capture this face? What's the easiest thing I do? What's the simplest thing I can do? And yeah. Back to the tonal thing, by the way, as well. So it's again on the previous one, the tonal side of things. As you can see on this one, the tonal side of things, you can create the feeling of light on a face with no, quite like this color, with no real. I'm not using any lights or whites or anything. I mean, I've got sort of chin out there. The chin's a bit square, but you know, all of these have got light in them, but there's no white in it, is there? No white there, but yeah. I think this is done. Sorry about the breaks in it, because I'm gonna, whether I edit, so I'm recording as well, so whether I edit these and put these up as separate videos, I don't know yet. I'm maybe going to do a couple more before I start thinking about editing them. So skill, really important, but be careful how you develop them. You've got to develop them in line with the intention. That's the kind of message. But yeah, you do need skills, but it's easier to develop skills that you need than skills that you think you should have. I think in that lies the rub. You've got to know what you know what skills you need, and that's comes down to your motives. So you'll gather, then you'll develop skills according to your motives. That's it. So during the process of doing it, so it's dead easy, right? You do it, you love doing it, you just get better at it. That's it. You know, it's not like, oh, I need to work on my perspective. I need to work on my proportions. It's not like that at all. It's just love doing it. Make sure you love doing it. So then that then says why you're doing it. So get your reasons sorted out. Love doing it. Love what happens. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Your skills will develop according to that intention, and you'll be better at what you're doing. It'll happen a lot quicker. There's, you know, there's all kinds of benefits from approaching it that way, rather than saying, "No, I'm going to learn this week. I'm going to learn that week," and all that. All that does is perpetuate the myth of what this is about, which is skill and nothing else. And it isn't just about skill. So, right, I'm going to find another reference, and they're doing a lot. So I've got another 7 of these covers. So I think that was the only one. Although I might have another one that's that colour. Let me look. Yeah, I've got another one that colour. So I'm going to do another one on this lighter one. So, and I genuinely think there are no more images of this girl. So, right, I'll catch you in the next one.